look at a passage here in just a second. So the question that I have for everybody is, have you ever been involved with a quarrel or a disagreement of any kind? And I would say if you've ever, or if you are married, you probably have been involved with a disagreement at some point in time with your spouse. If you have a brother or a sister, I've got my niece and nephew here, so if you had a brother that was like my brother John, you've probably been involved with a disagreement or a quarrel at some point or another. If you're a parent of more than one child, you've probably been the referee of some type of quarrel or fight before. If you work very closely with someone for an extended period of time, you've probably been involved with some form of disagreement or quarrel with them. If you are a human and you have ever had a close relationship with another human, you've probably been involved with some type of disagreement or quarrel. And so we might ask the question, well, where do those come from? And James, he asks that question, or he presents that question over in James chapter 4 and verse 1. He says, what is the source of quarrels and conflicts among you? So just asking that question, if we're going to ask ourselves that question and we're going to answer that question honestly, and we say, well, what's the source of quarrels and these disagreements that we have, you know what we're going to say? Did you hear what they said to me? Can you believe how they treated me? We turn it into the blame game, right? And that's been from all time. You remember Adam? With the woman that you gave to me. So it's all about the other person. I would not have done what I did if they wouldn't have done what they did. It ain't my fault. It's their fault. That's the way that we all act. And I didn't include this example, but if you've ever been on the soccer field, and this is kind of where this is coming from, because we had a situation on Saturday between a couple of rec coaches, and I'm still dealing with it today. I literally talked to both coaches. And it's like a bunch of kids quarreling with each other and pointing the fingers and blaming. Well, where does it come from? Continuing on there in James chapter 4 and verse 1, it says, what's the source of quarrels and conflicts among you? Is it not the sources of your pleasure that wage war in your members? You lust and do not have, so you commit murder. You're envious and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, so that you may spend it on your pleasures. So our disagreements and our quarrels, it's oftentimes, most of the times, it's not about a difference of opinion, and it's oftentimes not even who's right or wrong. It's about the bad stuff inside of us. That's the source. It's about all the sinful things that we have inside of us. Selfishness, really, is the biggest thing. Because I can just about tell you, if you're going to get involved with an argument or a quarrel with someone, there's two things that's probably going to be true almost always. One, it's going to be unpleasant. And two, somebody's selfish. So take a look back in James chapter 3. And I hope that we can see, even from what James is telling us about the source of these things, and it really is within ourselves, how we should be acting. And the heading in my Bible in James chapter 3, the heading above verse 13 says, wisdom from above. So just with that, wisdom from above. Well, what's the opposite of that? Well, that's what we're seeing in chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. It's the wisdom of the world, which is not wisdom. It's the foolishness of the world. So James chapter 3, beginning in verse 13. Who among you is wise and understanding? Let him show by his good behavior his deeds in the gentleness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not be arrogant and so lie against the truth. This wisdom is not that which comes down from above, but is earthly, natural, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every evil thing. And you could just continue right on with that. Well, where's the source of the quarrels and the disagreements and the fights that you have? That's it. Continuing in verse 17. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, unwavering without hypocrisy. And the seed whose fruit is righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. So how do we work toward avoiding these things? Well, first we're going to be pure, then we're going to be peaceable, then we're going to be gentle, then we're going to be reasonable, we're going to be full of mercy and good fruits. And so, are we going to be able to always avoid disagreements and quarrels? No. We can't always control that, but you know what we can control? We can control ourselves. And so maybe we are the source of the quarrels. Maybe we're the source of the disagreements and the issues that are caused in whatever relationship you want to talk about. That's what we need to worry about. We don't need to get involved in something and look at the other person. Don't talk to me that way. Don't you act that way. Don't you look at yourself. Look inwardly and ask yourself those questions. Am I being pure? Am I being peaceable? Am I being reasonable? Am I being merciful? Am I being gracious in my speech? So that's my ask for us for this week, especially. Think about these things, because we're all involved in relationships, and I want our relationships in the world to be good, but it's very important that our relationships within the church, and it's very important that our relationships within our own home, that they're good. And so let's make sure that we have the wisdom from above and the love that we need to have for one another. And don't play the blame game. Let's play the mirror game. Look in the mirror. So maybe you're here tonight. This obviously is a time that we come together in the middle of the week to study God's Word, but it is a convenient time to offer the invitation, and we want to offer that now. Maybe you are here and you have not obeyed the gospel. We want you to do that. We want you to make that good confession, and we're here and ready to help you and assist you in that. Or maybe you have sin in your life. Maybe you have obeyed the gospel and there are things in your life that are not what they ought to be. Don't go home tonight before correcting those things. We want to help you with those as well. We want to do everything that we can for each other to help each other get to heaven. So if we can assist you in any way in your service to God this evening, please come forward as we stand and sing the song that's been selected.